Hello from the other side.
Okay. Speaking of the other side, I am in something so deep right now.
No.
I have joined the world of ACOTAR. And if anyone doesn't know, it's a Court of Thorns and Roses book series. And I love. Give me like fantasy, dirty, smutty sex all day of the week. And I'm yours. Anyways, I'm in it. Basically, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. I just want to read my book.
This is so funny to me because you're obsessed.
I'm making
You're
Mike
obsessed.
start the series tonight. Making him.
I told Mike I would buy him fairy wings.
Yes, you will. Because it's about fairies. But it's not the kind of fairies everyone thinks. It's not like Tinkerbell. It's like these sexy, beastly, hormonal beings. Anyways, nobody cares, but I really do. I'm in it.
So funny because, and I know, that lore has made fairies these like mysterious creatures, but in Celtic tradition, fairies are like terrifying.
Yes, there
is nothing sexy about them.
No, I'm not. These fairies are horrific. They rip each other apart. It's very violent, but still.
But are they the ugliest, weirdest looking creatures in the world?
Yeah.
So then I'm for this because at least it's accurate.
Also, I forever now have decided that I'm no longer going to be going through menopause. I am going through cougar puberty. Cougar puberty, everybody.
I can't.
So
Cougar
for
puberty.
all our gals out there who are going through it like I am, we're not using the P word anymore. We are cougar puberty.
Okay. I mean,
everyone know.
You definitely give off cougar vibes. Like if there's anyone that's going to age with like leopard skin, it's you.
Yeah, we're not giving up the leopard print.
Oh, God, I'm dead. Well, on that note, that actually kind of like works into my story today, or at least the beginning of my story, because, we were just talking and I knew about your leopard print and that you love it.
I love it.
But I wanted to start today's story with the question, do we really know people?
No.
Ashley is shaking her head no. And this is such a challenging question that a lot of people don't actually want to explore because the idea that the people who are closest to us, we may not actually really know them is terrifying.
It is so terrifying. But also
it is scary.
It's so accurate in a way because if you think about it, you are a product of your environment. So if you're hanging out with people all the time that are happy and bubbly and want to enjoy life, that will rub off on you. So you kind of mirror what you're around.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. But I also believe, and this story will accentuate this, that I think I know you pretty deeply. But I am sure there are parts of you that you don't show anybody.
Well, anyone.
You're like, nah, girl, you see it all.
I'm like, no, because every weird thought I have comes out of my mouth. But
this is true.
Like because I do suffer from an anxiety disorder, like when you first meet me or you know me on a surface level, you wouldn't know that I have debilitating anxiety that sometimes makes it really hard for me to function.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we hear about this a lot in a lot of the cases that we cover where people, someone has committed a horrific crime. Very rarely, it does happen, but very rarely are the people that are interviewed that know this person like, oh yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. He was a fucking asshole. He did this, he did that. It's usually people who are like, well, I was just at his place for a barbecue and like, he was so chill and so relaxed. There's a shock factor when they do that.
I wonder if I one day just fucking went off, like just went fucking completely off the rails and got in a fight, let's say, or something. Would people be like, the fuck?
Do you think they'd be so shocked? Okay, it's funny that you asked that because now that I'm thinking about it, I can just picture Mike calling me and being like, Telly, we have a problem.
It finally happened.
She lost it. She punched some guy in the face. Things are not good. She's out of the police station. And I would initially be like, oh my God. And then immediately I would be like, actually, this adds up.
Yeah. 'Cause
It was
I will
only a matter
take
of
it
time.
and take it and take it from people, and I've had people
I
be
know.
really unkind to me, and I just take it, and I'll sit in silence, and I'll just try to ignore it, and I feel like people can only take that for so long.
Yes, and on that note, a little bit of a side note, for those of you who are just taking it and taking it and taking it and pushing it down and pushing it down and not dealing with it, that's really unhealthy.
It's
And
coming out now slowly for me.
as someone who had a full breakdown this morning, like ugly crying for the smallest thing, don't push that down. You got to deal
No,
with it as it comes up. Otherwise, it's a disastrous mess and everyone
fair.
around you is going to be like, "What has occurred here?" So, that's my little PSA for that. All right. So, let's get right into this and we're going to start with a young couple. Philip grew up in upstate New York. He was tall, blonde, and by all accounts, collected. Like he was this calm, cool, collected. He looks like a beach boy,
Mm,
super handsome. Teachers liked him. He was an honors kid. He played golf. He volunteered. Like he was just that dude that you look at and you're like, wow, how do you do it all?
I feel like you just described my son as an adult.
Oh my God. It's so funny that you say that because yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to like that later, but
Oh,
here we
good,
are.
good.
He did exactly the kinds of things that stack up in an application and whisper like, this is the guy. This is the guy you're looking for. So he went to college. He crushed the pre-med path and landed at Boston University School of Medicine. So this guy's going to be a doctor.
Holy.
And if you know Boston, you know how that sounds in conversation. You say BU Med and people nod. Doors open, strangers often respect, like they offer this respect that is just unspoken. It's like, "Oh, BU
Mm,
Med. Oh my God."
well, hello.
Well, hello. He met a lovely woman named Megan. They fell hard and fast. Those two people in love. They were like building a Pinterest life before Pinterest was even cool.
Oh my god.
And they got engaged. They had like save the date cards, a beachfront honeymoon plan, a registry full of wine glasses and bath towels. They were supposed to get married August 14th, 2009. And to the point where, and like Megan was that type A personality, like they had a wedding website that you could go to and see their whole upbringing, like pictures of both of them as babies. Like, this is us. This is when we met. This was our first date, like a whole
That's
thing.
adorable.
Yes. Yeah. This whole thing. In April 2009, Megan and Philip are headed to the casino, something that they enjoyed doing occasionally.
I also like the casino.
You do like the casino. So they're headed there, and all of a sudden, there's flashing lights and police surrounding the car. Both looked shocked and confused. They took Megan and Philip separately and brought them down to the police station into interrogation rooms. So already, what is going on?
They're
This is
like,
terrifying. I just wanted to play some
"I
blackjack.
just wanted to play the penny slots, sir."
I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, exactly. And that is, and I've listened to both their interviews because we have access to both of their full interviews. And yeah, initially with both of them, they're just like, what? Hello? What is going on?
Yeah.
So, starting with Megan, she was understandably confused. The investigators began by asking her about her day to day life. And I almost turned off the interrogation during this because it was so boring.
Mm.
Like, I was like, what kind of story is here? Like, what is going on? Because it was literally like, where do you work? How do you spend your money? Do you and your fiance live together? And so on. And, and there's something that she does. And I'm like, oh, I feel this because at the very beginning, they're like, okay, and your boyfriend, Philip? And she's like, fiance.
Oh, they love newly
Yeah.
engaged, like, when you're engaged. So my husband still we've been married for a couple years now. It's wife everything. So if I make supper, it's wife dinner. If I bake cookies, wife cookies, wife
You're right.
muffins. I'm like, "Okay, has it not
He
gotten
is
out of
like
your
that.
system?" Yeah, yeah. My
No,
wife.
he's so
This is my
proud.
wife. Oh my god. We're still doing it after 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was very much Megan. Like, as soon as they called him her boyfriend, she was like, a fiance. Like, get it fucking right.
She's, like, waving her ring around.
She's like, sir, don't fuck with me. So it's so boring, the beginning of this interrogation, because they're literally like, how much do you pay in rent? How much is your phone bill? How much is your internet bill?
What
What do you
weird
guys spend on
questions.
food? I know. And like, and I got to give it to Megan. because I would be like, hey, what the fuck is this about? And
Yeah.
she doesn't. She's just like this sweet. And when you see a picture of her, you're going to be like, oh, Megan, because she's just
Yeah.
this sweet girl who's like, I have to answer all their questions because
It's the
that was
police.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the police. She goes on to explain she's not working because she's going to medical school in the fall. She had had a back surgery a few years before, and it made it difficult for her to work more than part-time.
Okay.
So she talks to them and says, I've been looking for work. I have applied to a couple nanny positions, but nothing really has come available. And she talks about how she's affording life because they're like, okay, but if you're not working, how are you affording life? And she explains that Philip takes out student loans to afford their life. Now, at first I was like,
They're
that
living
sounds
on
so
loans?
dangerous. But when I did a little bit more research, this is actually very standard for med students because they can't be doing their program and working.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So this is actually more common than I thought it would be,
Oh.
which is probably why these poor students come out of university
Oh.
with like 300 grand in debt
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have a choice. So they take, and it sounds like the system allows them to just like, they know that they have to live off of this loan. So they just allow them to keep taking out a loan. Investigators begin asking her more pointed questions at this point about their spending. They're really obsessed with this spending. And Megan doesn't really know. She just keeps saying, like, well, Philip takes care of that. Like, the loans aren't even in my name. This is not really my forte, but they just keep on her, like, who's your internet with? She's like, I think it's Comcast. Like, this girl doesn't know, which is every girl's dream. Like,
Ugh.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either.
And like I've mentioned this before, but my heart kind of broke listening to this interview because you can start to feel the question forming in every word she says. And you're almost on the other end listening, being like, ask them what this is about.
Yeah, that was so
And
frustrating.
she's not. She's not. She's just like, okay, I'll do this. But questioning soon turns to where she was on specific dates. And Megan explains that she does go back and forth between Boston and Jersey about once a month to see her parents and to attend doctor's appointments and such. While Megan was being asked about their life together, Philip was down the hall in another room, and his interrogation started differently.
Okay.
Investigators ask him right away. They're like, do you want a lawyer or are you okay talking to us? And he is so cocky. I cannot express to you, and I'm going to link the video of his interrogation. I cannot
Like
express to you
rudely?
the cockiness, just the I'm better than you cockiness. So they're like, do you want a lawyer or do you want to talk to us? And he's like, get me a lawyer.
Like
And the interrogator's
demanding?
like, well, that's not really how it works. Like, you can have a phone call and you can call a lawyer, but it's actually not our responsibility to get you a lawyer.
Like
And
Jeebs.
he's seriously, that's exactly what it's like. He's like, go ahead, just yeah, step out and bring a lawyer in. And they're
And
like,
maybe
no, no,
bring
no,
me a
no.
large pizza as well.
Yeah, that's exactly his person. Like his whole, as soon as he opens his mouth, I'm like, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his thing. And he just keeps, and the beginning of this interrogation is very much about the lawyers. So he's like, I don't know a lawyer. You got to get me one. And they're like, no, we actually don't. Like, we can stop this right now and you can go call a lawyer. He's like, how am I going to afford a lawyer? And they're kind of like, not our problem,
That's
dude.
again. And also, sir, just to clarify things, if you're going to be a doctor and you can't figure out how to get a hold of a fucking lawyer, maybe this isn't the
We
way
have a
you should be going.
problem. And he's just, yeah, he's so cocky and it makes me want to punch him in the face right off the get-go. So they spend an unusual amount of time discussing this lawyer thing with him. Like it's many minutes because he keeps saying, okay, I want a lawyer. And they're like, great, you can go make your phone call. We'll set that up. And he's like, no, you need to bring me a lawyer in. It's so stupid. The exchange is so dumb. And he's like, well, what is this about? And then I'll decide if I need a lawyer. And the officer is like, I can't tell you that. Like, you're either going to talk to us without a lawyer or you're going to talk to us with a lawyer. You can agree to start talking to us without a lawyer. And then what'll happen is if at any point you want a lawyer, you can go have your phone call. Anyway, so stupid, made me Very angry. All right. So he agrees to talk to them ish. And investigators ask him if he's been to a hotel recently. So they start with, hey, have you been to a hotel recently? He says no. So they show him a picture of what looks like him walking through a hotel lobby. And he sort of scoffs at them and says, that hotel is connected to the financial center. I walked through it to get to the center. Don't you walk through hotel lobbies to get to different places? And they're like, not usually. And also, if I did, I would remember it.
Yeah.
So they, again, with the photo, they're like, so when was this? And he's like, I don't know.
Oh, so
Okay.
he's being very evasive.
Very evasive, very, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't been to a hotel recently. This is stupid. Like, just, it's frustrating. The whole thing is so frustrating. In the room down the hall, police show the same photo to Megan and ask her if the person looks familiar. And you can hear the like cognitive dissonance and denial and the internal dialogue Megan is having with herself as she looks at this picture. Who is this? She says, it kind of looks like Philip, but those aren't his shoes. He doesn't wear shoes like that. I know what shoes he has. Like, she's super obsessive about the shoes. So they show her another photo. They're like, what about this picture? And she says, I don't know who that is. And they're like, does it look like anybody? She's like, well, it can't be Philip because he's too heavy. Like, Philip's not that heavy. So this goes on for a couple minutes back and forth because they're trying to get a sense of like, whatever. And then the officer asks her a question and her answer is like, this is when I was like, all right, this is good. I'm in. Because he says, okay, if I got a cleaned up version of this image, do you think that would help you to be able to determine if it's Philip or not? And she doesn't even miss a beat. And she goes, no. And
There it is.
again, it's so heartbreaking because it's pure denial.
Mm-hmm.
But you can almost feel that she's looking at this picture going,
It can't be him.
this is him.
But
Yeah.
she doesn't want it to be him.
No, of course not. Because she still doesn't know what this is about, but she knows it's bad because remember, they were pulled over, lights flashing, arrested type thing. So she's starting to shut down. And her next questions are the same questions any woman would ask when confronted with the possibility that her boyfriend is lying to her. Because she's like, where's this photo from? When was this taken? Let me see that photo again. And you can hear the irritation in her voice because now she's like, this is him. And he never told me about this, which means he's lying to me.
And it's in a hotel. So she's like, what the fuck is he doing there?
Yep, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So what I haven't told you yet is that they actually didn't need Philip or Megan to confirm or deny anything. They had almost everything they needed already. DNA, video footage, eyewitness accounts, and IP addresses. Their conversation with Philip was more of a courtesy, a chance for him to confess, which he does not. He skirts around literally every single question, denies almost every allegation. So let's get into what Philip did. On April 10th, 2009, 29-year-old Trisha Leffler checked herself into the Westin Copley Place Hotel in Boston. She had traveled from Vegas to Boston to escort for the week. This is a very common and very lucrative choice for sex workers. Travel to a new city, post an ad, within a week, you're making thousands of dollars. So Trisha posts the ad on Craigslist titled Sweet Blonde, and the messages and calls start pouring in. She sends her address to one man who speaks kindly and softly to her on the phone. They discuss pricing. She gives him her floor number in the hotel. And Trisha's a really smart girl. And I appreciated this because this was her level of protection. This is how she protected herself. She would give men her floor number, meet them at the elevator, give them kind of a look down. If she felt they had good vibes and were clean, she would bring them to her room. If she didn't, she would ride the elevator down to the lobby and basically be like, actually, I don't want to do this. And
Good
then
for
she's in
her.
a public. Yeah, I thought that was so smart. I was like, then you're in a public place. You've got tons of people around. So that's what she did. When tall, blonde, young, handsome Philip Markoff stepped out of the elevator, she felt like it was her lucky night. Because as you can imagine, guys, not all clients are young and handsome in this line of work.
Right.
Like,
it's like Russian
hit or
roulette. You're
miss.
like, ooh.
Yeah. She brings him to her hotel room because she's like, oh, this is fantastic. This is going to be so easy. Like, look at this handsome dude. The minute she shuts the door, Philip pulls out a gun. He tells her, lay down on the floor, and she does exactly what he says. He puts on a pair of leather gloves and takes out zip ties and ties her up. He grabs her purse and takes the $800 in cash that she had in there. He also asks about her credit cards, and she smartly tells him they don't have much money on them. So she's like, yeah, they're credit cards. It sounds like they were the prepaid ones.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's hardly any money on there. Like, you're not going to get anything. Then she watches him reach down into her dirty laundry and pull out a pair of her panties and puts them in his pocket. He grabs her, lifts her up, brings her into the bathroom, ties her to the bathroom door, tapes her face over her mouth, cuts the cord of the phone that was in her room, and leaves.
He robbed her?
Yes. So Trisha waits a few moments, breaks free from the doorknob, and knocks on her neighbor's door to ask if she can call security. When she was brought to the police station later that evening, they pull up security footage, and Trisha immediately points at Philip. She's like, there he is. That's the guy, in multicolor. So it's a couple days later, and Trisha is still in Boston, waiting for police to return her cell phone. See, after Philip had assaulted and robbed her, he took her phone and deleted his number and their messages, thinking that would clear it up. But Philip is dumb and didn't realize that it could all be retrieved with a couple days at the police station. Trisha's watching trash TV and ordering room service when she gets a loud knock on her door. It's 2 police officers. She's like, oh, come in, assuming that they have her phone. They pull out a photo and hand it to her. And she's like, wow, this is a much clearer picture of him, she says. Was this from a different camera in the hotel? And the 2 investigators look at each other for a moment and say, no, this is from a different hotel. He killed a girl last night.
Oh my God. So he escalated.
So quickly. That is a point I want to make. This all happened in 7 days. Everything I'm telling you happened in 7 days. Julissa Brisman was an aspiring model from New York and gorgeous. Like gorgeous. She was 25 years old. On April 14th, 2009, she was meeting a man named Andy who had hired her for her services. They traded a few emails and locked in 10 p.m. for that night. Julissa also had a protection system set up with her friend Beth. Calls to the number on Julissa's Craigslist ad actually went to Beth first.
Genius.
Yeah, Beth would text and talk to them, and when she felt confident, felt like they were okay, she would give them the address. She would text Julissa, say he's on the way, and when the appointment ended, Julissa would text her back and say, he just left, went well. At about 9:45, Andy called. Beth told him to meet Julissa at 10 and sent Julissa a quick reminder to check in when it was over, but no reply ever came. So I really, it's so important that we look at the time frame here. So 10 p.m. is when he meets her.
Okay.
At 10:10 p.m., 10 minutes later, police were called to the Marriott Hotel where Julissa was staying. People had heard screams, and maintenance had found Julissa in her underwear, one zip tie on her wrist, lying half in the doorway, half in the hallway, covered in blood.
10 minutes?
10
That's
minutes.
wild.
Yes, she had been beaten and shot. And unfortunately, Julissa died en route to the hospital. And this girl fought hard. When Andy began robbing her, she fought back. She scratched him, threw punches, like she went hard.
Girl.
Yeah, I know. Her friend Beth called the hotel in the early morning hours looking for her because she had never gotten the text. The hotel connected her with the police who had to break the awful news to her, which is just so sad. Like, I got so many goosebumps because I was just thinking how awful.
She would feel so guilty as
I
well
know.
because she was that point of contact.
Yeah, right.
But it's not at all.
I know, but just so sad. But Philip, or Andy, wasn't done. 2 days later, in a very similar way to the others, Philip attempted to rob Cynthia Melton in a hotel in Rhode Island. But Cynthia did sex work and her husband worked as her security. So when he didn't receive the scheduled text from Cynthia, he showed up at the hotel door and almost broke it down.
Yeah.
And when he did get into the hotel, Philip got scared and ran.
Of course he did, because he targets women because he's a pussy.
Yeah, right. And this guy, like, he was cocky enough that he didn't realize that he had left hundreds of pieces of evidence, including DNA and fingerprints and footage, at every single one of these scenes. And for how smart Philip thought he was, he didn't quite understand how IP addresses worked. Philip was cooked, and which makes his interrogation so sweet to me because
He
he is
thought he
so
was just
cocky.
so smart. You know what?
He thought he was brilliant.
Well, and like, this is not me generalizing, but I've known doctors on
Yeah.
a personal level. No. I have a friend who is a physician,
Mhm.
and I'm like, wouldn't there be like a plethora of men for you to date? And she was like, I would never date a doctor. This coming from a doctor. I'm like, well, fair.
I know some amazing doctors, and
Mhm.
so I definitely can't say that. But this one was he wasn't even a doctor yet. He was just a med student,
Yeah.
but he acted like he was the shit.
He's like, I
And
mix Stevie on friggin'
he's like, what
Grays.
are you talking about? Yeah, exactly. And so all of this DNA, all of this evidence that he literally the whole time didn't get it. Like it didn't connect to him. Like they're telling him like we have everything. I don't know. Like this is just a courtesy. We're just having a chat with you, but like you're under arrest because you murdered people. Oh,
He's like such a sociopath. He couldn't imagine that they already knew. He's like,
I know. And get this, they didn't even need any of that because the shoes Philip had on when he was brought to the police station that night still had traces of Jalissa's blood on them when they went for processing. So, like, the amount of proof that they had here is actually insane. Back to Megan in her interview room. The walls were closing in, and they gently tell her Philip is what they were calling at the time the Craigslist killer. And she cries, which obviously she cries. And immediately, this badass, she's like, can I borrow a computer? She books a plane ticket back to Jersey. They help her do that. An officer drives her to Logan International and she leaves. She's
she's like,
gone. She's
fuck
like,
you.
peace, motherfucker. When they searched Philip and Megan's apartment, they found the gun he used in a hollowed out version of Grey's Anatomy. And like the irony is not lost on me here. I'm like, sir. Like, hello? Fucking idiot. On April 1st, he was arraigned in Jalissa's death. The prosecutor stated that a semi automatic handgun, wrist restraints, and duct tape had been found in their apartment. He pleaded not guilty to charges of murder, robbery, and kidnapping, but was later charged with murder and held without bail. Because they were like, that's cute that you think that this is even up for debate. We have everything. His DNA was under Jalissa's fingernails. Like he went hard. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, this case never saw trial. Megan ended up visiting Philip in jail to officially call off the wedding, which again, badass. So she like came back to Boston and she was like, she showed up in the prison, visitors area and whatever. And she sits down and she's like, I'm breaking up with you and not marrying you.
That makes me laugh because wouldn't it have been a given?
Well, I would have done the same thing as her. Like I would have wanted to look him in the eyes and be like, by the way, we're so done.
You see me? No, I would just like disappear and be like, my
You're just
silence is
gone.
enough for you. You lost everything. You don't deserve
You're
my
just
face. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Philip was also recorded on a phone call with his parents telling them to forget he existed. Like he was like, just forget about me.
The drama.
Don't worry about me. Just forget about me. And a few weeks later, he fashioned a shiv out of a toothbrush and a razor, cut all his main arteries because he knew where they were, and died.
Bye.
Which, like, total coward's exit. But
Yep.
at the same time, I'm like, thanks for taking out your trash. We appreciate it.
For real.
And it's, again, very ironic that the only time his medical training actually came into use is when he was killing himself because he knew exactly where to cut.
Yeah. It's
So
fucking
good
funny.
for you.
This guy's an asshole.
Oh, he's the worst. So as I wrap up this episode, I just want to remember the victims who survived
Mhm.
and Julissa who did not.
Yeah.
Sex workers in America are 70 to 80% more likely to experience violent crimes than non-sex workers.
Mhm.
And this breaks my heart. And if you've been listening to our podcast for a while now, you know that Ashley's, sensitive point is human trafficking. Mine is sex worker abuse.
Mhm.
It's okay that you don't agree with what they do for work. I don't agree with what half of the politicians in the world do for work. Okay.
Right.
There's no difference.
Absolutely.
they're doing their job. They have they're adults
The oldest
and they have
job.
yes, it is literally the oldest job in the history of the world. Like, it is the
Mhm.
oldest profession. And no one deserves to have more violence due to their chosen career path. And this
Mhm.
is a hill I will die on. Like I said, you can disagree with it. You can be angry about it. I hear people all the time, they're like, well, they're home wreckers. No, the husbands that hire them are home wreckers. They are not. They're literally just doing their job. And unless you're a serial killer, like, you should not be abused and murdered for your profession.
It's crazy.
That's just not,
Or your
we should not be
beliefs
doing
or
that.
your,
Your
it's
beliefs are any
crazy.
of it.
All of
You
it.
can, and this is very sensitive right now with everything that's gone on in the world, but like, you can disagree with someone. We're supposed to do that.
Yes.
And I don't think people fully grasp that we are supposed to disagree.
Mm,
There are things that people will say publicly that you are not going to like, that is going to offend you, that is going to upset you. And I am so sorry that that has upset you. They still don't deserve violence and death. They just
no.
don't. They just don't.
I 100% agree. But before this turns into a political standoff, we shall
Oh, it would never.
probably. I can't even talk about it.
It would never turn into that. So I'd also like to mention that I hope that Megan has moved on and lived a
Girl,
full and happy
I hope
life.
she's a doctor. I hope she's.
I hope she has just had the most fulfilling life. I hope
Yeah.
she met a man who never lets her
Ooh,
down, that
yeah.
she can trust. And
That brings me so much joy to know that she was just like, peace, motherfucker. I'm going to be a
I
doctor.
know when I heard how she just like literally from the police station booked a plane ticket, they drove her there. Like, she didn't even have her shit. She was like, I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
going. So that is the story of stupid Philip Markoff and the women that he attacked. And I hope the women that survived have also, lived a really good life since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Mm.
I hope that you are following us on YouTube. I hope that you are following us on all of the things. And we will see you on Friday.
Friday. Bye.
Bye.